Welcome to today's Agri-Nation. See, it's always very inspiring to see young people take up space in the agricultural sector and also just seeing them digitizing the ways of doing agriculture. And that is exactly what our Agri-Nation today is all about. We will be speaking to a very young gentleman, Evans, who has digitized their parents' way of doing agriculture and also is a very passionate farmer. Hi, Evans.
I'm good.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so very much for meeting us today.
Thank you so much for being here with us today as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tutaka kupiga story ya ukulima na teknolojia yenye umeleta hapa kwa ukulima kwa sababu tuliongea na Madhe alisema ukijana amenidigitize amefanya nikakuwa.com. So please tell us more about the technology that you have implemented in your parents' farm.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming to visit us as well so that you can see what we do and take it out there to the world so that they can understand as well. So my key role in coming to Meved was to make sure that we try as much as possible and make the farm flow smoothly. So generally that includes bringing technology into the farm. So it's not quite easy for me, but it was easier for me because I came from a technology background. So I worked in tech for 8 years. So for the farm, the first things we started was to start with the solar. So for the solar, we decided to put solar so that we can bring down the electricity consumption from the grid so that at least we can save a little bit more, which we can put out to the farm so that it can develop even faster. Mm-hmm. So step by step, we started with the panels. We put all the panels. We did the 3 inverters. So it's a 100 kilowatt system. So it takes off at least 30% of the total power that we use on a day-to-day basis.
Which year is that you decided to get into the solar panel system?
We started the project for solar the early 2022. So when we installed the solar panels so that we could start reducing the power. By then, we were using around 1 million on power. Then we tried, when we put in the solar, reducing by 30%, so we got to around 700,000. But that's the current situation now. Initially, when we were starting, we were using a power bill of around 600,000, but when we put in the solar, it was coming to around 400 to 300,000, depending on the time of the year and how the solar is behaving. But generally, Sagana or the Moya area is usually quite hot, so it benefited us.
Please tell us about the installation. Was it very expensive, and do you think those are some of the factors that could hinder other people from getting into the solar business as well?
Solar generally, it's not cheap when you're doing it in such a magnitude, but if you're doing it in small scale, it's quite affordable. If you have your 4 or 5 cows, you can choose to have solar just to run the milking machines, the lighting, which is not that much, because if you do such a system, because now you're looking towards the areas of 9 million, 10 million when you're putting a 100 kilowatt system. But generally, if you're doing for a small scale, you can do for as little as 100,000 to, let's say, around 500,000. If maybe the tax would come lower on such type of products, it will be better for us. Or even if we could be allowed to send what we have in excess back to the grid, then we are able to get a refund from the grid, which is what other countries in the European will actually do.
How many panels have you installed so far?
Based on the size that we have, we are at around 50 to 60 panels. Yeah.
And how much does each cost roughly?
Okay, I wouldn't know the exact price because we did it. I remember it was just a project, so we did the entire project. But roughly, if I was to give with the panel size that we have, I would give it roughly around 60 to 50,000 per panel there. But it's a rough estimate. I can't give the exact because it was a whole project, yeah, including the installation.
I understand it has saved you a lot of money and made operations very smooth at Meved, but there has to be some challenges that you have faced using the solar panel system. Please tell us more on that.
The main challenge using the solar panel is mainly because, you see, there's some time whereby you use power, or you get the power from the solar, but you don't necessarily need it. So you need to actually store it. But now investing in storage is the biggest challenge because it's quite expensive. Whether you're doing the batteries themselves or the lithium ones, it's quite expensive to indulge in such a venture. So you have to compensate. Either you do more solar panels and maximize your operations during the day. So that means you can't have a 24-hour factory running. So you have to compensate that. During the night, you have to use the grid. During the day, you try as much as possible and maximize the most on the solar. But generally, using the solar, we rarely do any maintenance. The cleaning, it's automatic because sometimes it rains. When it doesn't rain, then we have to just sprinkle water. You'll see there are sprinklers on the panels, so you can spray the water and then it just cleans out the dust. But generally, that's the only maintenance that we do.
So is it a challenge that you also face on seasons when there's very little sun, this very rainy season? During
the rainy seasons, yeah, we get the challenge of whereby we don't get enough solar as we expected, and then the bill usually goes up by another like 10% during that period. So you'd get, during those days, we have to pay more than what we expected. So as a result, we end up spending more during the rainy season rather than a normal sunny month.
So how do you monitor the operations of the solar just to see how much of the solar you're getting, how much energy you're getting, how much you're using from the grid, and how much you need in the farm? Please take us through that.
For this, we usually have an application. So what we usually do, we log into the system, and from the system, we are able to know how much are you using generally from the solar. Like for instance, right now you can see we need 70.7 kilowatt. Okay, so the orange color represents solar. So similar to what we have, the color of the sun, even in the cartoons. So orange represents the solar, and then the one with the gray and looks like it has a post, the electric post. That's what we get from the grid. And the one with the socket, the blue one, is what we need now. We are pulling from the grid and the solar. And then the one that is green that looks disabled and nothing is going through it is if we had the option of battery. So currently what we have is just the grid and the solar. So you can see from what we need is currently keeps on changing. So now we have 79 kilowatt. So the smart meter, we have what we call a smart meter. It's able to determine what extra we need to pull from the grid and what we need from the solar. So it divides it equally, but it gives preference to the solar. Then if we check the history, you can see the history. So from the history, you're able to know today, like for instance, from 3 a.m. or actually from 12, you can see from 12 how much we have consumed. The green color is what we have consumed, and then the purple, dark blue color is what we have gotten from the solar. So you can see there's a gap in between each. So the gap in between is what now we pull from the grid.
All right.
Yes. So you can view the monthly or the yearly or the total since we started.
You come from an IT background, so it's very easy for you to know how to get this on your phone and also translate it to what you're doing. For somebody else who doesn't have an IT background and they're very curious to understand how this works, how do they learn?
I would say it must be it can't be that hard, because now you see even my mom and my dad, I only took them like a 10 minutes brief on how to do and to set it up, and now she's able to log in, to navigate. She can tell how much we have used for the day. So it's not a difficult app to use.
So this technology works for the solar panels that you have. It doesn't matter which company you've bought them for, or it's specific?
It depends. The best thing is to pick the preferred panels from the person who gives you the inverter. So ideally, the person who gives you the inverters is the one who recommends to you what panels to use. Because now,
and also the app.
The app to use. So, but most of the time, what the company for the inverter is the one that gives you the app to use. Yes.
So with the app, is there a cost involved for you to get?
No, they usually give it for free. For as long as you purchase their product, the app is for free.
All right. Yes. Now you have a background in IT.
Yes.
All right. Najua watu wa IT tunasemanga na wale wa ofisi wanakwanga tu na miwani, always serious, you know.
Miwani nakuja na
IT. Hapo kwa supermarket cashier kikataa kwa mtu IT serious sorting things out. But here you are pulling that knowledge into the space of agriculture.
Yes.
There's so very many young people who, when they think of agriculture, ni kulima tu shamba mchanga, you know, they haven't broadened their thinking to see how you can pull that knowledge you have from the different degrees that you have to
Yes.
make, agriculture as great as you are making it in your farm. Please talk to us about that.
Farming has a lot of diversification. So you can be a farmer, but you are a marketer in farming. You can be a farmer, but you can be an IT person in farming. But you see, all that has to come from farming, because you can't understand the concept of farming and go and market, and you think that you're explaining to people something that they don't know. There are farmers out there. So even if I do an application on my phone and I take it to a farmer, if it doesn't relate to the farmer, then it doesn't make sense to the farmer. So when I'm doing these applications, I have to do an application that makes sense to the farmer as well.
Good job.
Yes.
Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much.
And keep up the good job that you're doing in your parents' farm,
Thank
being
you.
a young man taking up space in agriculture.
Thank you so much.
Now, there you've had it from Evans, who's using his knowledge in the IT space to make work easier in the parents' farm. And especially right now, when we are in the wake of climate change, one of the major solutions that we do have right now is the use of renewable sources of energy, solar being one of them. That is all we had for you in Agri-Nation. Please do keep watching. We do have a lot more in store for you.